it should be a thing no matter what. I do think it is a space that we have to learn to function in, because a part of us protecting ourselves means not to give too much of ourselves. So, welcome to Wine and Liberations, the podcast that uncorks the world of fine wines and explores the art of living a liberated life. I am your host, affectionately known as Dee. I am a wife, mother, business owner, and I am thrilled to be one of your guides on this captivating journey.
And I am your other host, the Professor Bae. I am a mother, college professor, writer, and creator. Grab your wine, relax, be yourself, catch a vibe, and let us guide you as you get liberated. So welcome back to Wine and Liberations podcast. This is episode 6.
6. We got to 6. Oh my goodness, that was so fast.
Yes, it is moving fairly quickly. So today, let's get right to it. We are going to talk about Black women being vulnerable is not an attack on Black men.
Yes.
How the two are not related. We're going to dive deep into what Black women and vulnerability look like. So let's start there. What does that look like? Being a Black woman and being vulnerable. Is that actually a thing for us? What do you think?
Well, now it's coined as living our soft life era. So we've coined it a term, but it actually, it should be a thing no matter what. I do think it is a space that we have to learn to function in, because a part of us protecting ourselves means not to give too much of ourselves. So, that's deep. Did you hear that? Like, we have learned to function in a space where we die down ourselves to protect others, or for us not to have that controversy of defending ourselves or the narrative that is depicted of us. I think I can say I've been in my soft life era maybe now for the last year solidly. I feel comfortable enough to express myself where I don't feel that I am showing a sign of weakness, or that I'm no longer strong because I said that I either needed this or I acknowledged this, or I've made actions towards choosing myself over others. It's a dangerous space, and I will say a lot of people do not want us to function in that space, and that's why it's not received by many. And I'll just say many as a blanket statement. The soft life era, I do think a lot of people see as a threat rather than a place of purity and balance.
Yeah, I can agree. Because particularly there's a term that's called the Superwoman Shima, or the Superwoman cape. And I think for so long, Black women have had to function with our cape on. So we were not allowed to be vulnerable. There was no room to be soft. There was no room to voice when there was discomfort or needing help, because of course we're Black women, so we could do it all. So for decades and decades, that was the theme of being a Black woman. You just had to be strong, regardless. So whatever happened, you had to pick up the pieces and you had to keep moving. So there was no room for that. And so recently, Black women are seeing just how detrimental that is for us. And so we are now trying to correct that behavior, because that behavior not only manifests emotionally and mentally, but there's research out there that shows being strong and being that superwoman, Black woman, is detrimental to your physical health as well. And so I think Black women are now realizing again just how bad that is for us, and we are trying to reverse that. And it's not comfortable. But let me put that out there. Going from being the strong Black woman, always putting on your cape, always picking up the pieces, always being there for others and putting yourself last, and then trying to shift and realize that there's power in being vulnerable. There's power in being soft. There's power in being in your feminine energy is a very, very, very uncomfortable space. So it's not something that you just wake up and there's a snap of a finger and now you're living in this soft life. That is not how it works. At least for me, that is not how that worked. And like you, I can honestly say I've been truly, truly living my soft life. Particularly this last year. I tried to start maybe about 2 or 3 years ago, but again, it was a very uncomfortable space for me. And so it took me some time to accept it. So I think acceptance is one thing. So being able to accept the fact that there's no room to do it all and that we are still human.
Oh, I agree. I will say, being in this soft life era, I've been with my husband almost 6 years now. So I'm saying that I've been with him 6 years, and then this is the first year that I feel like I am my soft life. I can say, being in this moment, it has truly improved our relationship. I feel closer to him. I feel like it's gotten stronger because I've let down the guard or the narrative of I have to figure this out. And then it's now switched to we have to figure this out. Or we do a check-in. We saw a clip on TikTok where we're able to say like, hey, I'm at a 30 today. I need you to pick up the rest of this 100. Or like, I'm at 100 today. I got you. So if you want the time off, you take your mental space and go play basketball for a minute and come back. I'm able to actually be aware and acknowledge my space rather than feeling agitated. I would have like anxiety attacks, or I would feel like anxious. And I had no clue why. And I'm sleeping next to a partner that wants to help, but I was so used to having to figure it out that I was putting myself through emotional trauma that I didn't need to be in. Why do you have anxiety and you have somebody that's helping you navigate through life? That means that I'm taking it on and I'm internalizing it, rather than just say, can you help me figure this out? Or can we think of a plan? Or this is just how I feel. I don't know why I feel like this, but I feel like I need to cry. So I just want you to be aware that I'm more sensitive right now. Like, saying those things to me is such second nature now. But before I would have never. Never.
Yeah, you bring up an interesting point that when you have a partner and you are married or in a relationship, how you still may function thinking that you still have to do it all and there's no room to be vulnerable. And to piggyback off of that, so even for the Black women out there that may not be partnered or may not be in relationships, understanding that you are able to be soft even in your single era. There's a very different approach that you might have to take because there is no partner to piggyback off of. There is no partner as a sounding board. However, there are some things that you can do for yourself as a single Black woman to get into your soft era. And that may include journaling. So something like journaling allows you to communicate with yourself from a different vantage point or a different viewpoint. It's like you're talking to yourself. You can even do things like
Eating yourself.
Yeah. Put up positive affirmations and you have to dive really, really, really deep. Again, and understanding that just because you are single or in your single season, that does not mean you cannot be in your soft life.
I agree. I think in the single woman, when I was, I maybe I did go through another soft layer. It probably wasn't to this I guess a level, because like you said, you tried to do it earlier. I did try to do it earlier, and then I end up loving myself in my love language. So how I wanted to be loved is how I loved myself. So I would date myself. I was taking myself to places. I bought myself flowers. Like every Sunday I went and bought flowers. Just did different activities and things how I want to be loved, or how my adventure side would kick in. And that's what helped me function in more of a space, or even when men would talk to me, no, 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 I know you're here to waste my time. I was more aware of myself.
Okay. Yep. So pouring into yourself in that season allows you, like you mentioned, to be able to combat those partners that you know, or potential partners that you know will possibly, waste your time or interject. And that's important to be able to have the spirit of discernment, to understand like this person is going to come in my life, and this person is going to intercept all of the work that I've done up until this point to be soft and to be vulnerable. So that's something that is.
It helps you recognize the red flags earlier. I think I was able to sift through the BS real quick. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
This ain't
sure.
going.
For sure. Yep, definitely. And I think another thing too is creating hobbies. And going back to that inner child. So what are things that you like to do as a child, and bringing that to the forefront? So filling your life with things that are meaningful allows you to live that soft life. And I think too, we see soft life on social media, meaning, you're living a life of luxury, and you're traveling to all these countries, and that's a part of it if that's who you are, but that's not the foundation of soft life. Soft life really going inwardly
and doing the work.
Doing the work. There's work.
After you do the work, you're like, this is the space I want to put myself in.
Yes.
So, you have to find where you are.
Yeah.
And then I think what we're seeing on social media is the portrayal, or because I won't take away that they did it, either the inner work after the fact or the portrayal of what it is. But those are it's the aftermath of what it looks like when you find yourself. It comes off like that everything has to be very expensive. It doesn't.
Yeah, correct.
If your soft life is going to a buffet because that's what makes you happy, just go to that buffet on Wednesday when it's discounted. Do what makes you happy. And social media just shows you the aftermath of what either was the work or should have been the work for, this is what I like, this is what I like to do. You mentioned like your hobbies, or what I guess brought you, happiness when you were a child. That's actually how I got back in reading, because when I was single and I was trying to, refine myself, now that I know it was my soft life that I was living, I got back into reading. And so I end up, focusing and channeling that and making that a hobby. And that's how the Urban Queen Book Club was born, just because I found myself, and my happy space was a book. I found out how to make that either an intentional space that I always wanted to be a part of. So in my softness from there, I created a space I wanted. Now I have this space. And so when I get back in my reading, or when I talk about books, it is my inner child that I continue to speak to. So I don't know if anybody follows me on the Urban Queen Book Club, but I'm more comfortable in my space of creating content now, or producing product of me reading. Because I'm more comfortable in that. So when you get comfortable in your space, it comes a second nature.
Yeah.
So that kind of triggered that. So that's where that came from. So 10-bit on that.
Yeah. And when you're comfortable, in that space, you don't allow any external factors to come between you and that space. You recognize and you understand how to not allow that to get into the space of that, because this is important to me. This is a part of who I am. And so I'm going to make space. I'm going to make time to be able to do these things. So that's very, very important to keep in mind. And you can't fake the soft life.
You can't.
won't take it. Eventually, it will bubble up and it will rise to the surface. So if it's something that, you know, you are 1 foot in and 1 foot out with doing, you have to go all the way in order to truly be in that space. Otherwise, like I said, it's going to come out and you're going to realize, ooh, there's more work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And it's not a destination where you just get to this space and you're just in the soft life. So I think it's important to know that changes.
It's continuing.
Yeah. Yes. And there are going to be things that trigger you and kind of take you back, try to take you back to that space. So even being aware enough to understand your triggers and understand that soft life and being vulnerable is a journey that it doesn't stop. It's continuous.
I think one thing I've enjoyed about my soft life journey is I can answer the question now of what do you bring to the table with so much confidence. Like, oh, I know what I bring to the table. Do you want me to slide you my credentials? Mm-hmm. I'm able to self-identify so much more from going through it. Like, I acknowledge when I feel overwhelmed now. I acknowledge when I need a moment of stillness. I acknowledge when I feel like, all right, step back, recenter. We were talking earlier, and I in my journey, even now, I just felt like I've had a very hectic, busy week. So my intention today was to practice stillness. So what that looked like for me was, just covering my house with stillness. I did a yoga a practice. Nico, the yogi, the black yogi, Nico, black yogi. Oh, I just messed up her name. So I'm gonna say it one more time for y'all. Nico, the black yogi. She's on YouTube. I often follow her practices. She has a balancing alignment chakra segment that I did this morning that was amazing. And that is me acknowledging to myself that I need to reset myself. And within this soft life journey, it's okay to hit the reset button. It's not a perfect mental day. It's not a perfect happiness, skipping down with smelling roses or being that plant lady. Is truly refocusing and starting over continuously and giving yourself credit for what you have done or how far you have come and move forward.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's great. That's a great point that you mentioned. And you mentioned how you did that this morning. And so to piggyback off of that, I think having a morning routine is very, very pivotal and being vulnerable and practicing that soft life. And your morning routine, everybody's morning routine looks very different, but I think being intentional about setting those intentions for how you want your day to look. Even if you have to wake up 5-10 minutes earlier than you normally do, like you mentioned, to have that stillness or to create a morning routine for yourself makes all the difference. I am big on morning routine practices. If I do not do my morning routine, then my day it runs totally different. So you wouldn't think something as small as taking 10 minutes, or for those of you who have more time, it depends on your schedule. Some people can take an hour, like me. I take an hour every morning to practice that morning routine to make sure that it sets the tone for my day. But if you don't have an hour, that's okay too. You can wake up 10 or 15 minutes earlier to create that small morning routine. And that could be anything. That could be you saying some quick affirmations. That could be you journaling very, very quickly. That could be you practicing yoga. That could be you going for a morning jog or a morning walk where you're just with yourself. So again, just creating that morning routine allows you to practice being in that safe, soft space. So
I that's interesting that you say that. So I actually have my alarm go off 15 minutes ahead of everyone else. And I don't even use it to do anything. I just get up before the day starts to just hear the house in its stillness. I just take a moment to take it all in before the chaos of the day, before alarms. So just that 15 minutes of just being in my house and just hearing and just recentering myself before the kids get up or before, doors start to open, alarms go off. It truly has helped me just take it all in. Um, I, my routine, I don't know if it's yours, but if I get up at the same time the kids get up, everything is hectic.
Yeah, chaotic. It's tumultuous.
Gotta get up before them. So just taking that time just for yourself to even take a shower before everybody else comes out. Take that 15 minutes to just sit in the shower. If that's all you need to reset, do it.
I've been practicing something, and I don't know. I'm like, am I getting old or what? But I love to watch the sunrise, whether I'm exercising or I'm just sitting on my patio. My patio is filled with plants, and so I've created like this gardeny space on my patio, and I love to. And I'm not even a morning person. But I've started this practice of getting up early and working out and just sitting there and watching the sunrise. It is so peaceful. It is, and like I said, I don't know if I'm getting older or what, but I love to watch the sunrise.
And just do nothing. Like sometimes I'm there with a cup of tea or just not. I'm just there. Like I'm present. I'm here. I'm getting myself in the mind space of to tackle today. And like you said, even just shoot off some affirmations. Like today will be a great day. I will accomplish all that I have set out forth to do today. Just putting yourself in that space has a lot to do with this soft life as well. Like you tell your mind what you want to do. We are creating this. We're negating anything negative, and we're reinforcing our positive thoughts within this soft life.
Yes. There's something, there's a lot going around with particularly Black women being in their soft life era, as being seen as sort of an attack against our male counterparts or something of that nature. What are your thoughts about that? Because that is seemingly bubbling right now, that Black women being in their soft era, being vulnerable, it's not as accepted by our counterparts. It's looked at as if there's a conflict. What are your thoughts behind that?
I think it only offends men who now realize the preface of what relationships and marriages were very misogynistic. And I think it offends men who no longer are benefiting from that misogynistic ideology. And like that's the only one that it offends, because a lot of hit dogs are hollering. My TikTok is booming with men claiming women have now ruined feminism. Women have now ruined the sanctity of relationships. Women have done so much to this, and this. But the only ones that are offended are the ones that benefited from the timid wife who let the husband kind of do whatever, they didn't speak up. Or to be under this umbrella of God, you take all this emotional and physical damage for the sanctity of this this union that was created under him. A lot of things that were used to control are no longer working. God doesn't love me any less because I left this relationship. In my mind, he loves me more for me choosing me.
Yep.
He's going to bless me more abundantly because I have removed myself from a space that no longer was fruitful.
Yeah.
But we've created this narrative that if a woman leaves, God, she's not getting into heaven.
Yeah.
So it's only the men who realize that they are not able to benefit from their there we go, activities, are the ones that are offended.
Yeah. And it's only a problem when Black women do it. Every other, and it's just, not to down any other races or anything, but all other races of women are allowed to live a soft life. But now that we are putting ourselves in this environment, it is all of a sudden a cause for concern. And so I can agree with you. The only men that see a problem with it are the ones that benefited from us not operating in the soft life, but not being fully aware of who we are, and the power that we possess as Black women. So I can definitely agree.
Only a hit dog is hollering.
Yeah. And
It's a lot of white men that are speaking up. Like, I'll just put that out there. Yes, it is white men that are. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But majority of my For You page are filled with white men being vocal about how they feel about women now, and how just how we are now taking on different spaces and roles.
Yeah, and how it's okay. It is okay. It is very much needed. I think we've been off balance for so long. Things have been off balance for so long, and so there's definitely a shift.
But I think more men should get behind this soft life narrative, because the more aware of who I am, the either better I can communicate with you, or I don't trip off of small things anymore. It's because the more I communicate with you, the more I can let you know I'm not down for that bullshit.
Yeah.
So I just feel like more men should get behind it, because it's going to make your communication with women in your relationships a lot better.
It is.
They're going to know what she's not going to stand for, or what she is going to stand for. The soft life ruins that gray area.
It does.
I have to choose me first. In order to choose me first, I have to communicate with you with what I will and will not like. Choosing me first, I'm going to be open and honest with you.
And you're not afraid to say it. And you're not afraid to say it up front. So I'm letting you know this ahead of time. So before we get way into deep, I don't want there to be any surprises. I'm letting you know that here's my list of non-negotiables. Here are the things that I will not sacrifice. I do not plan on losing myself in this relationship or this situation. So you can make an informed decision on
either right,
or get off.
It's true. When I met my husband, I was in the midst of single life in Houston, and I told him, if all you offering me is dick and something to eat, you don't even have to stay.
Like my grandma used to say, they got to bring more to the table than dick and bubble gum.
Okay. So if all you trying to do is take me out and offer me some dick, there is no point of us going through these motions. You can go on your good way, because I'm letting you know I want, off the rip, I'm letting you know I want more than dick and something to eat. So if you want to talk, we can continue. But if all you're offering is dick and tacos, sir, already tacos.
You know what? I don't think they realize just how accessible dick is. Like, it's not hard to get it. So I don't think they realize how accessible it really.
Okay, I'm telling you. So when I was growing up, on my way to college, my aunt asked me a question, like, when I meet a man in college, he needs to have gold. And if he don't have gold, then there's no point of us talking, right? And so gold stands for good old long dick. So if he's got gold, and if he is at least offering you the base minimum, that is going to be the established screw buddy. So I don't think a lot of men know, like, it is very accessible in plethora. Once we realize that this is what you've been deemed at, and that's all you got, you're just always going to be gold, sir. That's it. All you're offering me is a piece of gold, and I'm okay. And
being aware of and living in that soft life, it allows you to weed out, and then not be afraid to say. So it gives you higher quality of experiences. It's not just relationships, in everything. Career, in your personal life, in your dealings with the opposite sex or partnership, friendship, everything. It allows you to weed out those low vibrational experiences.
Question: how do you deal with men who are offended by either your soft life or your owning your femininity? How do you deal with it?
I don't. I don't. I don't. If I recognize very early on that me, living this soft life, because I live a very soft life. When I tell you I live a very soft life, so if I recognize very early on that there's a problem with me living in my soft life, I couldn't. Just that simple. No explanation. I'm not going to explain it to you. I'm not going to do anything. I just don't.
Yes.
So
Walk away from things that no longer serve you. And I remember dating, and I used to be like, you are so offended that I enjoy being a woman. What is the problem? What is the problem? I do know my sexuality can be used to make advances. I am aware that my beauty attracts conversations. Yes, I do know I was the hottest thing that walked in here. Why does that offend you as a man? I feel like a lot of men have unresolved mommy issues, and that's another reason the soft life it offends you. Why is me using my beauty to get an extra drink? Why does that offend you as a man? You should say, ask them if they're gonna give me one.
It shouldn't. So my advice to the ladies out there, if you're navigating the single life and you're living in your soft era, just don't. There's no need for explanation. They know. So if they're not coming or accepting of you being in your soft life, just don't. That block button works, honey.
It does.
It works. And you don't have to have an explanation.
Do you watch that girl on TikTok who goes sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle?
Yes, ma'am. I've been watching her before she came on TikTok. I've been watching her now for about 5 years, and I found her on YouTube. So before she even came on, yes, she actually has 2 separate channels, but yes, I've been watching her way before she got on, way before she got on TikTok. So yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Every time she say something, that like, you right.
Yeah. Can't even argue it.
Yeah. She said nothing wrong yet. I'd be like, you right.
Yep. So I want to leave this episode with just a simple positive affirmation. And that affirmation is, I will not apologize for being myself. Again, I will not apologize for being myself.
I need that on a shirt.
Merch idea.
Okay, I need that on a shirt.
So cheers, So cheers to living in your soft life, not apologizing for being your authentic self, working through and navigating being soft as a Black
and giving yourself credit. That's it. That's the sentence. Give yourself credit.
Yes. So cheers.
Cheers.